So you want me to keep following you, or?
No, I'll probably, it's running nice and smooth, runs well.
Yeah, and you sit upright on it.
Runs along at 100 kilometres an hour,
You
no
did,
trouble.
you did a few times on the straight. You were riding at 100 k's an hour.
Okay guys, I'm 85 kilometres into the run and I've just pulled over at this roadside rest area where I've been going to on and off for, I don't know, 50 odd years. So anyway, as far as things go, believe it or not, back up there at the last stop, which was 30 kilometres out, I said to the wife, geez, I've got a lot of confidence in this bike. Don't worry about following me behind in case I break down. Just keep going and head off home. So she headed off in that direction and I carried on mine, because that way I was only riding 80, 90 kilometres an hour on it. And as far as that goes, well, it was probably just slowing her down and a bit risky behind. But after 30 kilometres on this, I was really impressed how well the bike's running, and I was thinking there's no need for concern. It seems a really reliable bike so far, and I'll get right into the ride and go from there. But just before we get onto the bike, just have a bit of a scan around here. Now, I'll tell you something that happened here 50 years ago. Like, back in the early 70s, I had a E38 RT Charger, and I was out here one night with a bit of skirt, you could say, and just over there where those trees are, now this is 2 o'clock in the morning, right? So 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm over in that scrub there, or both of us are, out of the car, nothing on, and having a bit of fun. And this is 2 o'clock in the morning, and roughly somewhere around about here, all of a sudden a light comes in, and a flashlight shines straight down there into the paddock. Now, I must admit I packed it a bit when I seen that, because you don't know who's coming along, and I'm thinking at that stage there was only one track in and one out, and I'm over there somewhere, or we're, you know, but we're over there somewhere. Like I said, 2 in the morning, nothing on, just having a bit of a wild time, and I really packed it, because, you know, not a good situation to be in, but who would expect that 2 o'clock in the morning? Anyway, I decided to make haste and said to her, get in the car, get your frigging clothes on, so and let's piss off. And that's what happened. I got in there, and there was a track coming around there, and along that creek bed, and then back up to here. Now when I got up here, roughly, came out of it and drove past that car, I was in first gear, and I had a fair bit of power in those days. That E38 Charger was one of the fastest cars around in a straight line, and I was ready to gun it and give it heaps. So as far as that goes, when I got up close, it turned out to be the two bloody local coppers from a place further down the road called Cudell. And they looked at me as I went past, and I just said to them, hey, I was just having something to eat. And he looked at me. Well, he said, F off and eat elsewhere. And I would have been about, I don't know, 21, I suppose, or something that time. And in those days, like, we are talking early 70s, and might have been 72, somewhere around there. But in those days, you know, you never give the coppers any cheek, because not like they are now, pansy coppers. In those days, you were really asking for trouble if you were a smart ass to the coppers, because they would liven you up really quick, if not there when they got you back to the station. So not like these blokes now would get out there and say what they want to, different time there. But I tell you what, it was sort of, you know, strange how you can come back to these places 50 years later and get a bit of a laugh at what happened when you were virtually, I don't know, kid you could say, 20, 21, no, let me see, 52, 20, yeah, I'd say 72, 73, something like that, pretty close to that. But either way, I soon moved out there fairly quick and never went back there on any more night missions. So anyway, back to this bike here now. Now, what can I tell you about this one here? Geez, I tell you what, I could tell you I'm impressed, and that's pretty bad to say about a bike built in China. So that's one thing I could tell you, but oh geez, out along here, I would have thought now that this would give a Honda CB500X a bit of a run for its money. Have it over again, a really good run for its money. Now you might say, if you've got a CB500X, I think you're up yourself there, Warro. But let's take an account in 2018, 19, 21, 22, I had 4 CB500Xs, all brand new. So I know the bike really, really well, and this, I would think, is its main competitor. Like in those days, I think it's now the NC500 or something like that. But if CFMOTO, this bike, I think, it's fairly hard to say how to put this, but I think if CFMOTO would have tried harder, they could have beat the Honda CB500X with this bike. And the reason they beat it, or I think they could beat it, is because there's very little vibration in this bike. And I mean very little. It's that smooth that it's like almost like riding a 650 Interceptor. And they are the smoothest ride around. Like, just hard to believe how good they are. Hard to believe how good this bloody thing is too. And nice colour too. So when you look at it, the CB500X, it's a bit down in, well, it's a bit vibey in the bars. So that's its main thing. Now, I'll put up a video shortly, and you'll see me sit on this bike flatboard, and you know, like, it's misleading how high it is, because this bike you sort of sit in, not on. So me sitting in this one here, I can virtually flatfoot this. And it's hard to believe. Now, size wise, I think it'd be pretty close to a CB500X in size. It's not a bloody lightweight skinny little bike, it's a fair bit of bike. Now when you come along here, it's getting a bit windy now, a bit overcast, I'll show you, see. Times have changed and I've only went 50 kilometres since my last stop. But I thought I'd pull over here and just give it a chance to cool down a bit. And, you know, I like to do that with the newer bikes. I don't like to get out there and flog the crap out of them. So that bit aside, you know, overall pretty good bike. Like, I don't know what, there's really nothing bad I can say about it. This windscreen is on high, and you know, like, for me being roughly 5'9". Hey, have a look at this key too, look. Hey, look, what a good solid key. Now I've got these sort of gloves on, if in case one, these fingerless ones, because if I'm using the camera and drone, you can't do it with ordinary ones, and if I go with no gloves at all, someone will complain, oh, you should have gloves on. So I've got to cover myself as best I can in that line. But overall, if I get now and just shut up and bring the camera in and try to give you a closer look at the bike as I spin around it, and you'll get an idea why I think it's such a good bike. Yeah, that should be enough of that crap. You should have a rough idea now. The build quality. The build quality is really, really good. I think as good as, let me see, and definitely up near a good quality Honda standard, I would think. I mean, look at this. Just hard to believe that they've put together something like that, and you go out there and buy other heaps of crap, and they're slapped together and you've got to start fixing it. This one here, at this stage, 85 kilometres into the run, is one of the top contenders of the best bike I've been on. Now, how do you think I feel with all the bikes I've bought, and I've got to get here and tell you shit like, I think a CFMOTO is a better bike than a lot of ones I've been on. It's a bloody disgrace. Like, I should be here saying to you, oh, this is just a total heap of shit. When I get home, nobody will know, but I'm going to put this on Gumtree and cash it. But, and let somebody take it. And I don't care if I can get 7,000, call it a write-off and go from there. But it's not the bloody case. I've got nothing bad to say about it. Sure, it's got a couple of minor faults, and when I pull up at the next one, we'll talk about them there, because we've got to have something to talk about as I go along in case something happens between one stop to the other. And, you know, we get an idea that way. But, Jesus, overall, hey, Warro, I'm impressed. Who would have bloody thought that me, of all people, would be impressed by a crappy old Chinese bike? But it's not a crappy old one, it's a bloody good Chinese bike. So if you can get here and say to yourself, oh shit, I forgot, I'll let it kick over for you. All right, you listen to this exhaust. Let's make it dark. We won't push our luck with it, but that'll give you an idea. That's like, I don't even have to get out there. In fact, I'm wearing earplugs. Oh, well, not real earplugs. I just wear cotton wool and stick that in my ear. And, you know, the older you get, once you get over to 70, your hearing's not crash shot anyway, so that'll do them. But overall, you know, like, yeah, I think it's a pretty good buy for what you're getting, you know. And anyone that says you're not getting much, well, the trouble is they don't know much about bikes. So it's sort of bloody hard to believe that. Who would have thought that only about a week or so or further on, first I was thinking of that Ducati Devil, or Devil, or whatever they call the bloody thing, I don't know. Then the Honda Hornet 1000. And then that one, then I went to this one too. And then I thought, oh, bugger it, I'll give the Dark Horse a bit of a hit. And that'll be the CFMOTO's 450 MT, because I said I was going to buy one in November. A few people sort of said, oh, I wouldn't buy a Chinese bike. And I was stupid enough at that stage, and I'm sorry for doing it, taking notice of those who knew nothing, and decided not to do anything and bought that Yamaha X-Max scooter instead as a safe bet. Bloody... This is the trouble when you take notice of people or influencers on YouTube that tell you shit, or just to get views or subs and anything like that, and then they move on to the next bike. I actually buy the bikes a bloody ride, or well, as best I can, because now when I get this thing home, I got 7 of them, so and they're all virtually near new ones, so that's a bit of a problem. So, but that bit aside, you know, I think, unless there's shit itself between here and hometown, well then I might get onto you and say, oh, I'll just wipe my mouth. Bit of shit flew out there and I'm sorry, it's chucked it in. But other people might, that happen to, and they say nothing to you at all and just go back to the dealer. But I don't work like that, I don't care. Either way I look at it, they're only 10 grand, so it's no big deal. The way I look at it another way, compared to what I was going to buy, I've saved 10,000 by not buying a Honda, or at least 20,000 by not buying that stupid Ducati. And this 40 horsepower is quite enough for me. I reckon if I got onto one of those other ones, yeah, I know I'd be going on a trip all right. Probably, most likely, I would say, good chance, straight into one of these. Now, geez, that's a nice yellow box tree too. But that's what would happen, because I don't think the brain of mine would be quick enough to react to a 150 horsepower bike. And I would say the party would be over to me, or I'd run out of luck and bump into one of those mobile speed cameras, and all of a sudden it'd blow that camera up because I'd went past it that fast that it couldn't handle the bloody speed limit. So there it was. So I think overall I've done the safe bet. I've got one of these, I'm pretty happy with it, and I think as time goes by it'll be a good bike.